On June 14, 2006, a BNSF cement train was making its way through Kismet, California. This train had 4 Dash 9s leading. Dash 9 44CW 4479 BNSF fake bonnet 4715, NS Dash 940 CW 8967, and Dash 944 CW BNSF 4576. Behind them were cars of cement and grain cars. They were scheduled to pass another train, a manifest train, this time having 7 engines. This train was BNSF-944CW 4059, NREX SD 505473, BNSF-944CW 1065, FURX SD 40-28110, BNSF GP30U 2437, BNSF SD 40-27065, and finally BNSF-944CW 997. As they were making their way down, 4059 was scheduled to stop and to let 4479 to go through the siding, and they would go on their way because it was a single track, and those siding was made so trains like these could pass safely. However, 4059 did not do its assignment. 4059 blew past a flashing yellow signal, which was supposed to signal them to slow down to a maximum of 40 miles per hour, and then a solid yellow signal, which was to prepare to stop at the next signal. However, no change was made, and then the trains come into view, getting closer. The two trains' headlights come into view as 4479 rounds the curve. 4479 notices that 4059 is not going to stop. As they try to clear the siding, 4059 hits the brakes, and at 5:51 a.m., it happens. .4479 gets sideswiped by 4059. All 4 locomotives from 4479's end come off the track. 4479 suffers major damage and falls over to the side, while 4715 and the rest of the train keep rolling and derail around it. On 4059's end, 3 locomotives come off the track. 4059 also suffers damage, but not as much damage as 4479. NREX 5473, however, suffers much worse. Lots of its long hood and car body was destroyed, and 1065 was damaged from its radiator part and covered in the cement, along with NREX 5473. 8110, 2437, and 7065 remain on the track, while 997 also remains on the track. However, the tankers, whenever the collision happened, the train came to a sudden stop. However, the tankers still kept going, and the only direction they were going was forward, and forward was 997. The tankers crashed through the cab of 997, destroying the left side, also derailing some of the tankers. No deaths happened, thankfully. The locomotives were heavily damaged. Surprisingly, all but one were repaired and put back into service. 8110, 2437, and 7065 were not damaged, and only 8110 suffered minor stains due to the cement and was repainted. And they were all put back into service. 8110 continued its service at FURX 8110 as an SD40-2. BNSF 2437 was put in storage somewhere in the south, in the west, and now its whereabouts are unknown. 7065 continued for BNSF until being sold because of the new GBOs, and the numbers would overlap, and so BNSF decided to throw away their SD40-2s. 7065 eventually made its way to NS and being renumbered to NS 3517 and still operating to this day. 997, that was hit by the tankers, was put back into service and its numbers were now bigger font, but that was it. It was repainted to its Heritage 1 colors, thankfully. 1065 was repaired and repainted into the Heritage 3 colors. 4059 suffered lots of damage but was also repaired and put back into service, keeping its Heritage 2 colors. 4576 was repaired and repainted back into its Heritage 2 colors, and the only big difference being that the number font was changed like 997. NS 8967 was put back into service as well, being only minorly damaged from the back. Eventually, it was put into the rebuild program and eventually converted into AC-44C6M 4208. BNSF 4715, the fake bonnet, was repaired and repainted, unfortunately, into the Heritage 3 colors, losing its iconic fake bonnet. 4479 suffered major damage, but surprisingly was repaired and put back into service, this time being repainted to the Heritage 3 colors. That meant that the only locomotive that did not make it was NREX 5473. It suffered major frame damage, and it was just not worth it, and it was deemed a total loss and scrapped. And so now, here came the question: why did this happen? The crash was investigated by the FRA and in fact not the NTSB. 4059's crew was interviewed and then tested, and then they found out the smoking gun. 4059's crew had substances in their system. This was not good because it would This would cause a lot of side effects, including impairing vision, making it dangerous to operate a vehicle like a car or even a locomotive, which is probably what happened here. And it was never disclosed that if it was the direct cause, but they stated that multiple factors and how they were all investigated to find out that they were all disproved, including how the sun glared and causing them to not see the signal, but that was false because the sun had not rose by the time the trains crashed, 2 minutes before the sunrise started at 5:51. They also said that the signal fluctuated to green and they thought that they could keep going, but in fact it was not. They even ran a test train to see their visibility and similar weather and time, and it was found out that it was perfectly fine, and that 4059's crew was definitely at fault. In the end, they were the reason why multiple injuries and lots of damage was caused. And that was the conclusion.